Hello and welcome to my website, Born in Hell. My name is Laurie Smith. I'm a child abuse survivor. I'm also a public speaking advocate out here speaking out against child abuse and standing up for child rights. Um, just to make sure that this stuff doesn't get swept under the carpet and, just close behind, behind closed doors and just allowing abusers to continue to get away with what they get away with. The more noise we make about this and the more educated people become, um, more children's lives are saved. And so it's really, really important to raise your voice and be a voice, to get involved locally wherever you are. Really, first of all, in your own home, because 95% of child abuse is really perpetrated in the home by someone the child knows. And the other 5% is some sort of stranger danger thing, or like a sitter, or, it could be daycare personnel, or someone at a store, just somebody getting hold of a child, kidnapping, that type of thing. So just know what's going on. Learn the facts. Get the information, and you can help save children's. You can really help save children's lives. Your own, first of all, and then the children around you, their little friends. People that have children. Know the signs and symptoms. Know what to look for. So this is a video series, Born in Hell video series, and it's just a continuation of looking at the abuse that I suffered at the hands of my parents and a sibling, the dysfunction, the domestic violence, really what it's like from my eyes to grow up abused, and the damage that it did to me, both not just physically, but the more serious damage was what it did to my heart, my mind, my thinking abilities, my ability to cope as an adult, and so I just want people to. I'm just giving people an opportunity. I'm just one survivor out here. I'm just willing to speak about it. So all my stuff is graphic. You have to listen at your own discretion, as I say on all my shows. If the topics of abuse bother you, you need to make sure that that you're comfortable. If it's gonna bother you, please don't watch. You would not be hurting my feelings at all. And if you're a survivor on a healing journey, then you need to make sure you're far enough along in your healing journey to make sure that another survivor story is not going to trigger you and send you backwards in your healing journey, right? It's very important. And also, if you're a young person, 18 and under, then you need to have parental or adult, an adult or parents' consent to watch my videos or listen to my child abuse stuff, because if it's ultimately about child abuse prevention and about children, but this is all adult content. This is for adults, right? So I don't know how young the children will be listening out here, and you'd be doing yourself a favor and me a favor, because I'm all about child abuse prevention, man. I do not, you need to learn how to protect yourself, right? And you need to have someone listen to my stuff first to make sure it's age appropriate for you, right? And then if you have questions, or you don't understand what I'm saying, you don't know why I'm talking about certain things and what some of this stuff might mean, you can then have someone help you with those issues, right? With those questions, right? So we'll get right into this. We're looking at years 31 through 35 now. And I'm just taking you through as if we were there right now, in my eyes, right? I'm 31. I'm in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And this is the city where two of my brothers actually killed themselves. I come here because I don't want to go to Edmonton. That's where Cecil is. That's where I left him because, I lost the baby, and I was angry with him because he wasn't there for me, and I really felt that it was a personal thing and that he should have been there for me, and that I wasn't blaming him for losing the baby. I was really blaming him for not being there for me. And I didn't trust myself. I didn't trust my decision-making processes at this point. So I left him there, and no contact. But all year since working in Calgary, I met a new friend, at this pub that I'm working at. And that's awesome. And I really like the pub. It's awesome. I like the staff, I'm enjoying it. I'm learning a lot. But all year, all I can think of is Cecil. And I'm like, I knew I loved this guy. I would never let him touch me like I said, because I suffered child sexual abuse at the hands of my brother, who raped me. I mean, come on, I don't let guys touch me, man. It's like, unless I really care about them, I have only had one relationship in my entire lifetime. I'm 31 years old, other than this Cecil guy. And that was when I was 22, and that was the love of my life. Supposedly, Puff of Smoke, who was coming to just to spend his life with me, and we were going to be married. And then that was just a Puff of Smoke dream because he's gone. Left a huge hole in my heart because I'm thinking, man, okay, am I just doomed to a life of bad relationships? With my parents, with people. Now this guy who says he loves me is gone. So then I meet the Cecil guy, and I don't know how to handle anything. I've never been shown how to properly behave in any situation because my parents were still fighting on my mom's deathbed pretty well. So, I don't know how to deal with stuff. No, my friends were all dysfunctional. Everybody I know, besides a few of my friends' parents, some of them that weren't abused, some of their parents were the only examples that I really had besides TV, which I did used to watch a lot of Little House on the Prairie because I wanted to get some good morals. I really did. I used to watch Little House on the Prairie because I'm like, hey, this is a show about goodness. People aren't, this is a show about what not to do and what to do. And I really got a lot out of that show because it showed me the dysfunction in my home. So it's like I'm sitting around, I'm thinking about Cecil. I'm 31 years old, and I'm like, I really love that guy, right? And so one day I decide that I'm going to call him and see if he's still at the apartment. I left him at the apartment there pretty well a year ago. And I'm thinking he might have other women in his life. He might have another lady in his life. How do I know? He might have gone back to be with his sister or any number of things going through my head. I'm just like, maybe he doesn't want to talk to me. I blew him off. Maybe he thinks, oh, who needs this chick and her problems? You know what I mean? Like, oh, thanks, right? I don't know what to think. But I think, you know what? I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to call. And so I call him. And he's there. He answers the phone. And I'm like, I'm a little surprised that the phone he still answered the same phone number. So he's still there. And I'm like, I was like, hi, Cecil. And he's like, hi, how are you? And I'm like, I said, I'm good, I said, but I'm just calling to see how you're doing. I'm like, and if there's any ladies in your life. And he's like, just one. I've been waiting for you to call. He waited for a year for me to call. I believe that was the truth. I really do. He kept everything of mine. He kept my Q-tips. He kept my shampoo. He kept everything, hoping that I would call him back. This man loves me, right? Now, like I said in my last video, I don't know how to accept love and receive love. I've got a problem with that because I was not shown how to receive love. Not real care and real love. Right? Some of my friends loved me. That was really nice. Thank God for that. I had little friends tell me, I love you. My little friend Arlene, she loved me. I don't know if Desiree loved me, but I really loved her, so it didn't really matter. And Diane, my friend Di, I know she loved me. We were buds. And my mom hated my guts. I had some friends that loved me, and I had some other people, through the years tell me that they loved me. But, it wasn't like this real deep, intense, I love you, I want to spend my life with you. You know what I mean? So this guy, I don't even know how to receive this from him. But I'm willing to try. Because I don't trust anybody, see. I don't trust myself. I really don't trust. I trust myself more than I trust other people. But I also know that I'm seriously messed up from the abuse. So I sort of question my decisions all the time because I'm like, man, wrong move there, or that was a bad decision. And this goes on and on and on, And so I call him and I'm talking to him and I'm like, I'm working in Calgary, and I met a new little friend here, this lady, she's kind of taking me under her wing. But I'm having a good time because I'm working at this pub and things are going good, but my mom died. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry about that, And I'm like, well, she's at peace now and I'm at peace with that, you know what I mean? And I said, but other than that, I've just been sitting around thinking about you, thinking about you all year. I'm grieving my mom, I'm still grieving you a little bit, right? But I said, I can't stop thinking about you, right? Because I would have never had anything to do with you if I didn't care about you. Because he knew I was sexually abused. I mean, I had to fill him in because, again, I can't let anybody get close because of the abuse, which causes me to break down and cry and freak out, which is really sad, but I was raped as a child, and what are you going to do, right? So he knew about the sexual abuse, but he didn't really know all the details of all the abuse that I had suffered with the hands of these two people who taught me some really horrible ways of dealing with things in life and taught me how to hate myself, you know, and they taught me how to not want to receive love, how to want to kill myself, how to hate everything. They taught me how to hate. That's why I'm telling you, when, that belt across the face with my dad, and I'm telling him, fuck you. Because they put hatred in my heart. And they beat out that sweet little girl that I used to be, this cute little thing. I thought I was cute. Everybody else was thinking, everybody used to insult me all the time. And I mean, if you could hear all of it, you'd be like, good God, what was the matter with your freaking family? Including your older sister who should have known better. And, you don't do things like that, right? But people do, and I'm stuck with it. And I've got some physical scars and some problems with my body, but the real damage is what they did to me emotionally and how I feel about myself. And it's horrific what people do, and there's no excuse for it. And really, there's no forgiveness for it. I was just a little kid. And if you see my pictures, there's one picture of me, actually, I put it on One Child Abuse Survivor to Another, the journey about the child sexual abuse, because that was taken just before the child sexual abuse started, the year before. I put that picture there because I was already suffering in this home. Physical abuse, verbal abuse, assault from my mom, in every way. And then, that little girl, she's already suffering. And that dress that she has on does not belong to her. That cute little red dress would belong to a neighbor's friend's daughter. My mom borrowed it for the picture. And I saw that, I always kind of cherished that picture because I thought it really looked so cute. I mean, how could you not want to take that little child and love that little child and, and read books to that little child and play games and, have fun with? And every single person in my family hurt that little child. Every single one of them. And the major damage was done by my mother, my dad, and my brother. But all of my siblings had a hand in it. And even other people. I was just, if you could have been there with me as an observer, writing things down, you would be like, no wonder she's so fucked up. Because I still cannot get resolution from that. I will never get no, it's not going to happen. So I have to then try to figure out how I'm going to do this, because I need to learn how to love myself. Regardless whether anybody else loved me or even cared about me or gave a shit about me, regardless of all the horrible, horrible things that they said about me and the stuff that they put me through, I need to learn how to love myself. So I'm talking to Cecil on the phone, happy to talk to him. He says I'm the only one in his life. I'm still the only one in his life. And I mean, it's just like talking to my best friend. I mean, he is, at this point, I mean, I only knew him for a year, and then I left him, just under a year. We lost our baby together, And he's like, well, can I come see you? Just for a few days, or even a day. And I'm like, well, sure, And he's like, and we'll just talk. We'll just talk. And I'm like, sure. So he comes from Edmonton. He takes the bus down, Greyhound. We don't have cars. He takes the bus, and he comes and we sit and chat for 3 days. We spend some time together. And it's so nice to see him again. This is the man, who held me when I woke up in that. I was on some sort of pain meds, which kind of had me a little loopy, and I fell asleep, and my wrist was in a cast, and my wrist was hurting really bad because it was a bad tendonitis thing that the guy had to snap. You can go back and watch that video. Well, it was really painful. I think I was dreaming about pain, so obviously I was dreaming about the abuse. And I was on these pills, so when I woke up in the middle of the night there, I was crying and sobbing, and said, my mom abused me, and I'm freaking out. So I never used to do stuff like that. My mom was kicking my ass my whole entire life, but, I didn't wake up in the middle of the night going, Mom abused me. She'd come in there and say, what the fuck are you talking about? God damn it, shut your goddamn mouth. And, this is more abuse. So I didn't do shit like that. And I was living in it. It's like when you're living in it, it's the present, it's the norm. Right? It's when you get away from it, is when all the shit starts going down with the adult survivor issues. It's a real problem. So, he held me at that point. He's like, I told him I've been sexually abused. That's why I have a hard time, with intimacy. He knows about that now. I'm in this hotel room with him. We just got out of the hospital, both of us, and he's holding me and he's trying to console me. He knows about the abuse, right? And that's what I needed, And I really wouldn't have been with him if I didn't trust him somewhat. There has to be something there because otherwise I wouldn't have had anything to do with him at all. So he comes, he spends 3 days with me, and we have a great chat. We have a really great chat. Things are good. I'm happy to see him, really happy to see him. And he says, well, I'm going to go back up to Edmonton. All of our stuff's up there. And, if you think that, you want to get back together and do this, you let me know. I don't, so he says, I don't know what you want, You just left me for a year. And I told him, look, I said, I love you. I've thought about you all year. It's not a like. It's not a, I think I like him or I think I love him. I've thought about you all year long and how much I really do love you because I wouldn't have let you touch me. No guys get close, man. No. Has to be something there. And I said, I'm sorry I left you. I needed to get my shit together, for after losing the baby. I did it, I'm not proud of what I did there, leaving you those notes and everything hurting you. But I said, I'm willing to give it a try. So he says, okay, well, I'm going to go back up for a couple of weeks. You can think about it. And then if it seems like it's going to work out, you can, we'll discuss it, I'll give you some time. And then if you think it's going to work out, then we should try again because he really loves me. See? And I'm like, okay. He's not trying to be threatening because he knows I already ran from him once for a year. Right? So he's kind of like, I'm going to go easy. I'm not going to scare her. She obviously has problems, but he loves me. For real. Who knew? Who knew that I would ever find real love? And I do. And I'm still with him today. He's sleeping right now. So, 2 weeks go by, and of course, I'm thinking, I do want this so bad. I do want this so bad. But I don't want it the way that it was. I started to act like my mother in the apartment in Edmonton, throwing dishes. I started raising my voice at him and screaming. I didn't call him too many names, but I was like throwing some cuss words out at him, And, I started to kind of pick up these old behaviors of mine, right? And I thought, I don't want it that way. I'm going to have to do some changing. And also, he needs to know where I've come from so that he will not be so, a little bit crass with me as far as insults and stuff like that, so that he knows where I'm coming from, because he's got to know my past in order for him to be really careful to navigate what he's doing around me, so that I can learn how to deal with this relationship. So I think, oh my God, I'm so excited about him coming. We've already decided he's moving in. He's coming down. He's going to bring all of our stuff. He saved all my stuff. He saved my Q-tips, like I said, my Q-tips, my little box of Q-tips. He saved it. He saved my shampoo. I had left some things behind there, little things, you know. He saved it all. He literally saved everything. Because when he brought his stuff, we were living in a place that had furniture, right? So he just brought his stuff. It was quite a little load of stuff by in a year, but I'm sitting there getting a little panicky though, because I'm thinking, am I making the right decision? I don't know. I know that I love him. I know that I care about him. That's not the issue. It's the fact that is this the right thing to do, in my situation? Because I'm scared, man. I don't know how to do relationships. All I know is abuse, right? And I'm thinking, am I just going to mess this up again? Or is he going to hurt me down the road? Kind of scared. Like, I'm that scared little girl again. The one that was really little. Freaking out at the noise and the crashing and the glass breaking and people screaming and my mom screaming and my dad running around with a belt whipping the boys and stomping on them, I'm thinking, that's that scared little girl sitting on the couch, 4 years old, 4 or 5 years old, And I'm like, I don't want that. I don't want any more of that. But I know that I want love, and I'm going to have to open up. If I want to be able to receive love or give love, I'm going to have to open up at some point, and I love this guy. So I'm thinking, okay, when he comes, because I'm panicking a little bit before, he's coming in a couple of days, and I'm starting to panic around the apartment there, and I'm like, when he comes, we're going to sit down, and we are going to talk. So he arrives. He's got all my stuff, my little things that I left behind, trinkets and stuff. He brought the dishes. We had bought some dishes. He brings everything. I'm really surprised that he has my stuff. I would have thrown it out. That's me. Destroy, get rid of, destroy, get rid of, kick out. See, a lot of my mom's behaviors, right? And my dad, but I really blame my mom for most of it. And because I watched her so many years try to destroy me as well as my dad. My dad was destroying her too, right? But she was my mentor, see, my mother. Right? So I knew how to behave that way, right? I would have gotten rid of everything. I wouldn't have saved anything of his stuff. If it would have been me, I'd have been like, he's gone, screw him, in the trash it goes. He saved it all and he waited for me to call. That's why we're together today. Okay? The man loved me. He was hoping I would call. He didn't have anything to do, you know what I mean? He's hanging around working. Hadn't met anybody. Waiting for me to call. I'm like, well, so he arrives and I'm happy to see him, but I'm nervous, And the very, very first day that he gets there after, I give him some time to relax a bit, and take it easy from this bus ride and putting all this stuff, in the apartment. And get him something to eat, and we sort of sit around. And I say, I really got to talk. We got to talk, right? I said, you've come all the way with all our stuff. That's really nice. I would have got rid of it. I was honest with him. I said I would have just turfed it. You were really nice to save it. But I said, we got to talk. And the reason being is that you need to know what my problem is. You need to know why I left you, and I fill him in. I tell him everything. I tell him about all the abuse, And I tell him about the fact that I don't know how to receive love, that I don't know how to trust people. I don't even know how to trust myself, but I just have to wing it and go from disaster to disaster as an adult, right? So, he's sitting on the couch and I said, you have to listen to me though. You have to listen to me. And then you have the opportunity after that, and then I'll sit and I'll listen to you, right? And I went on and on and on, as you can all tell that I can do that, right? Go on and on and on. I wanted to make sure that he understood where I was coming from. And I said, look, you got to know, like what you did, like, really, I felt betrayed by you, And I said, I blamed you for, not being there for me even though you were 2,000 miles north in the Yukon and we couldn't afford the charter flight out. I said, I understand these things. I'm really sorry. But you also need to know that where I'm coming from, because you need to know the amount of damage that's been done to me. Emotionally, psychologically. You know about some of the physical stuff, but he saw the scars. He knows. But the thing is I'm just like, I can't afford to be hurt anymore, right? And I said, the problem being is that it's not that I'm necessarily suicidal, but I've been wanting to be dead my whole life. And I need somebody to love me. So I sat and I talked to him literally for like 2 straight hours about this stuff. And he listened. And then when I said, I just need somebody to love me. And I said, if we can't be good to each other, because I explained the domestic violence, the drug abuse, the suicidal ideation. I just told him everything. Everything. Because I wanted him to know, man, I've been hurt. And that's why I'm so screwed up. And I need somebody who's going to be there, who's going to be able to handle this and not fly off the handle and then start abusing me some more. I can't deal with it. I'm not taking it, right? And I said, we shouldn't be together, you and me, unless we're going to make each other's lives better. I said, if I'm just going to hurt you, or if you're going to hurt me, we don't need to be together. Let's call it quits right now. If we can't figure out that I need to make your life better, and you need to make my life better. And if we're going to be hurtful to each other, and we're going to try to tear each other apart, and we're going to make smart comments and think that we're just so great, and the other person is the one at fault, and we're not going to take responsibility for our actions and for what we say and what we do, we don't need to be together. Because I just lived through all that, and I'm done with it. So I said, if we're going to love each other, and we're going to try to help each other in everything, and I mean everything, and we're going to make each other feel like we really are the special, better half of that other person. We're going to treat each other right, and we're going to get along. And when we have problems, we're going to talk about it. We're not going to get mad and huffy, and I'm not going to throw dishes, and you're not going to start pushing me and slapping me. And I said, man, if we can't do that, we can't be here for each other through the thick and the thin, through the good and the bad, there's the door. And if I can't do it, I just got to go. And if you can't do it, you got to go. Because I can't afford to live anymore like that. I don't want it. So then he had his talk, he agreed. He was like, I agree with you 100%. And then he wanted to tell me what he thought was really important for him to tell me about himself. He knew he was previously married and had these grown boys, and he was estranged from them really because they lived in England. It's just a little hard to be getting over there back and forth with the kids, especially if the mother's kind of holding them there. They're hers, But they still talk to their dad. They call him on the phone, They correspond, but it's not the same. But he doesn't necessarily trust women either. He's been burned a few times by a few women. He's been hurt by women. He tells me that I hurt him, because I didn't trust him. That made him feel bad because, he's like, I'm a trustworthy person. I'm an ex-Royal Navy Marine, Special Ops. People had to trust me with their lives. My own family, my own siblings, I had to help raise them because my dad died when I was 19. And I had to gain my mother's trust in order to be able to do this, sort of step in as the oldest male to be able to help with the family and stuff. And he says it kind of hurts my feelings that you don't trust me, even after I showed you after a year that I was trustworthy, that I wouldn't hurt you, and that I would never hurt you, that I would never hit you, that I would never beat on you. And he says, I'll be careful. He says, I will be careful more with my words and what I say around you, because I didn't realize that this was such an issue and that you were so wounded you know, because he doesn't have emotional problems. Cecil, he doesn't have any emotional difficulties, right? He's an emotionally well person, right? So he's like, but it hurt me because I loved you, and you said I had 4 hours to get home. And he says, I'm afraid you're going to do that to me again. Within a couple of years, we're going to have another spat. Something's going to come up and then you're going to give me 2 hours. He says, I have to learn how to trust you too. He says, but I will tell you one thing. I love you. And I loved you when we met. I was thinking it was kind of like at first, but then I realized, no, she's the one. So we agree that we're going to do this thing. And from the ages of, he moves in. He still works up north in the bush. I work at the pub. And I'm happy because this man loves me. And for the first time, for real, I get to experience real love. And it's a beautiful thing. So, I just tell people, just hang in there, man. That's all I can say, because you never know when the real one's coming along. It may not be when you want. It could be a lot later, but then you just never know. And so, 31 to 35, I just work. I don't become pregnant again. Never, ever. But we enjoy each other's company. We're enjoying running around Calgary, having a good time. And to about the age of 35. And we're just living and working, having a good time being together, right? And so I'm getting more experience at the pub. I'm actually getting to be a really good line cook by now. I'm supervisor. They've made me night supervisor at the restaurant, at the pub. And I'm making more money. I'm really good at what I do. And we'll pick up with age 35 next time. Thanks for your interest in my work. Thanks for doing all you can to stop prevent child abuse, And like I say, if you're a survivor out there, man, do not be destroyed by your past and by those abusers and by that abuse. Because that's what they want. They wanted to see abusers want to destroy people. Little children, little babies, little kids, other adults. They do. And then these abused victims just have to try to pick up the pieces of their life if they actually survive it. And so what I say to all these survivors out here, you got to win this fight, man. Because it's a slap in these abusers' faces every day that we wake up. God bless you all, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.